When was the last time you looked in the mirror and actually liked what you saw? Not your appearance, your whole self, the person looking back. For most of us, that mirror doesn't just reflect, it judges. After a mistake, we don't just feel bad, we destroy ourselves over it. We throw our own work in the bin without giving it a second chance. And the voice in our head, it says things we would never say out loud to anyone we love. We replay the failure on a loop. Every detail, every cringe. We pace, we obsess, we can't let it go. And then we go back to the mirror, back to the same face, the same harsh stare. We speak to ourselves like we're the villain of our own story. And then, one day, something stops us, mid-sentence. We look a little closer and wonder, who is this voice? And is it even true? That pause, that's the beginning of everything. So, I sat down and asked myself a question I'd never thought to ask before, and I picked up a pen to find the answer. Would I say this to a friend? Would I really? I stopped, because the answer hit me like a wave. No, I never would, not in a million years. I imagined my friend in my shoes, making the same mistake. I would tell them it's okay, I would tell them to try again. But when I looked in the mirror, that same grace disappeared completely. Why do we treat ourselves like the exception to every rule of kindness we believe in? This is what psychologists call the inner critic. And it doesn't just whisper, it shouts, it broadcasts. It drowns out everything else until you can't think clearly. Here's the thing. We all have one. Every single person. The inner critic isn't evil. It was built to protect you. It learned from old voices, teachers, parents, fears, and it never stopped repeating them. It echoes through every mistake, every setback, every quiet moment, until you can't separate what it says from what is actually true. I wrote down the question, where does this voice come from? And I held it up, because the answer matters more than we think. It starts early, before we even know what self-talk is. In childhood, we absorb every word said about us and to us. And those words become the script our inner critic reads from for the rest of our lives. That's not weakness. That's just how human brains work. I want you to know, I've been there too, deeper than I'd like to admit. The voice in my head was not kind, and for a long time, I thought it was just being honest. But there is a massive difference between honesty and cruelty. Even when you're the one being cruel to yourself. I sat with that truth, let it settle. Then I drew a balance scale. Critic on one side, compassion on the other. For most of us, that scale is wildly off balance. Too much critic, not enough care. But here's what I learned. That scale is not fixed. You can move it. So I walked back to the mirror, but differently this time. Not to judge, just to look, just to see. I breathed, slowly, without agenda. I spoke to my reflection with a softer voice, just to try it. And I waited for the familiar flood of criticism that usually follows. It didn't come, not this time. There was something new there, small, quiet, but real. I stepped back and something had shifted, even if just a little. Time for tools, because awareness alone isn't enough. You need practice. I called this section Self-Compassion Tools. Tool 1. Notice the voice, but don't become it. You are not your thoughts.
Don't become it.
You are the one watching the thoughts. Practice creating distance. Observe it like weather passing through. That thought is there, but it is not you. Tool 2. Speak to yourself like a good friend. Literally ask, if my best friend were in this situation, what would I tell them? Hold that same friend in mind when you turn the kindness inward. The goal isn't to lie to yourself, it's to be fair. You deserve the same fairness you give to people you love. Tool 3. Write one thing you did well today. Just one. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be real. Write it down, make it physical, make it visible. Read it back, let it land. That's it. That's the whole tool. Tiny, but over time it rewires everything. Tool 4. Mistakes are data, not identity. You are not your worst moment, you are what you do with it. I drew a graph. It had dips, yes, but the overall line moved upward. Every dip was followed by a rise. That is what your story actually looks like, if you zoom out enough to see it. I went back to that crumpled paper, the failed test, the thing I threw away. I smoothed it out, looked at it with different eyes. Not shame, curiosity. What can I actually learn from this? I wrote that question in the margin, and this time I folded it carefully, filed it as experience, not failure, not trash, evidence that I tried. Then I walked back to the mirror one more time, and I stood the way I used to, but everything inside was different. I looked at my reflection and I nodded once, and for the first time, I smiled at myself, a real one. I placed my hand on the mirror, connected. No cracks, no distortion, just me. I turned away from it with peace instead of relief. And I sat down and wrote 4 words that I want you to write too. Today, I was enough. Read them back, mean them, even just a little. Close the notebook, let it rest. You did something real today. Stand up and notice you're a little taller than you were before. So here's what I want you to take from this. The mirror has been lying to you, and so has that voice. Not because you're broken, but because no one taught you to be kind to yourself. That changes today, starting with one choice. You and I, we're more alike than different. The critic in my head knows your name too, but we don't have to let it run the show anymore. Notice the voice. Speak kindly to yourself. Write one thing you did well. Remember, mistakes are data, not identity. I know how heavy it gets in there, I know. You are not too sensitive, you are not too much. You are not behind. You are a human being who is doing their best with what they have. And that is enough. It really is. Take a breath, in slowly, and out. Let that land. You are allowed to be on your own side. You can start right now, this moment. Look at someone who has been too hard on themselves for too long and choose to be a little gentler today. Today, I was enough. Say it, write it, believe just 1% of it. That 1% is all it takes to start. Thank you for trusting me with this today. Until next time, be as kind to yourself as you are to the people you love, because you deserve that kindness too, quietly, completely, always. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. If you find this video interesting, please consider subscribing for more content like this.